News. Locals coming together to protect a unique population in Arizona.
It makes me feel like I'm doing something positive for nature instead of doing something that's taking away from the natural resources.
And how a Phoenix barber is bringing positivity to the lives of others in his community.
Greater good is a community thing, so I look to my right and to my left, and I bounce ideas off of people. And when I'm not doing so great, these people lift me up, so I'm very appreciative.
Plus, how the gift of music is helping local seniors. Good evening and welcome to a special edition of Cronkite News. I'm Caress Melanie. Tonight, we are taking a look at stories that highlight ways people are making a difference in Arizona. Pollinators play a huge role in how agriculture operates in the state. A few local heroes are advocating for their protection. We bring you this story now from a group of documentary filmmakers at ASU.
I used to walk in the neighborhood, and I noticed one day when I was walking a butterfly that was metamorphosizing, and it was coming out of the chrysalis, and it drew my attention. So I kept going back to the bush. I started to notice that there were other chrysalises that were not viable. They were brown. I kept going back day after day, and there was no butterflies coming out of them. So I started to do a little bit of research and investigate, and there was pesticides being used in our area.
Pollinators are really important on a global scale. We know they're important for our food production. They're worth billions of dollars in terms of the services that they provide. And then, they also help our ecosystems thrive.
Plants and pollinators are interrelated. Like, you can't have one without the other. If you don't have pollinators, the plants won't make it to the next generation. And if you don't have plants, the pollinators aren't going to make it either. So they're very intertwined.
We're really lucky to have such a wide variety of species of pollinators, especially bees. Bees are essential to our food source. If we didn't have bees, we wouldn't eat. Also, the bats in this area, they are what pollinate all our beautiful cactus, and butterflies. All of the flowers you see, the milkweed, they pollinate all of that. So without that, we wouldn't have such a beautiful landscape in the desert.
Pollination was one of the reasons why I got into beekeeping. There wouldn't be any citrus in Arizona without bees. They need the pollination in order to survive, and we need the food that comes from the pollination that happens. If we have no longer bees on the planet, the human population will only survive about 2 years. We have so many exterminators out there that that's one of the reasons why I'm out here in this yard here. I rescue bees every year. I do probably anywhere between 150 and 200 rescues a year.
There are over 1,400 different bat species across the world. They're so beneficial to us pretty much at every level. They're critical pollinators and seed dispersal. The bats fly in and get a drink of nectar, and they get pollen on their face, and so their head gets covered with pollen, their shoulders, and when they go from plant to plant, they're trading off pollen, and so they're cross-pollinating these plants in a much larger amount and can fly a further distance. You're looking at a much more efficient pollinator.
My whole childhood, I was outside. I had a family garden. I've always been around plants and enjoyed that sort of space. Here at the Desert Botanical Garden, we cultivate a space that is not only beneficial for the plants, but for the pollinators here as well. We're then able to educate the public on the relationship between the pollinators and the plants. We have our hummingbird garden.
We have our bee garden and we have our butterfly garden. We also have our butterfly pavilion, which hosts a spread of different species of butterflies, as well as different nectar and host plants for them.
People are captivated by them because they're so iconic. Kind of hooking them in with monarch butterflies and then really expanding that is a good gateway to get people thinking about conservation and then thinking about why native plants are important.
So the pollinators within a certain area are native to that area. So when you plant their specific native plant, it attracts the native species to those. They have healthy food, they have a healthy life, they continue to produce offspring, and then the cycles continue. If you don't have that, you're not going to have the species producing, you're not going to have the continual pollinating of those plants.
Within my neighborhood, when people move in, they're not educated about the importance of native plants and how they're essential to the native species. People will plant things that are not native and they'll use pesticides. This actually is harming the environment and it's minimizing the populations of our native species.
And so what we did was we built our own habitat. Pretty much about 95% is all native plants. So it's safe, it's protected, there's no pesticides, there's plenty of nectar which attracts all of the pollinators. It makes me feel like I'm doing something positive for nature instead of doing something that's taking away from the natural resources. We always think that nature is something we're supposed to conquer, or nature is something we're supposed to overcome. And I don't think that we ever see it like it's something that we just need to be aligned with.
We know that urban habitat is really important for pollinators and can be really valuable. We have an opportunity to make our cities really pollinator friendly and create that habitat just by adding native plants into our urban spaces.
You have people that plant lots of pretty flowers and lots of citrus. Well, they can't have those produce anything without bees.
I've seen a good poster where there's, animals and they're going, "You moved into my neighborhood. Now why are you so annoyed that I'm still here?" And that's really, people tend to love the wild lands, but then don't want the wild animals.
It's a relationship that you have to have in order to survive.
Kids pick up a lot. They come into the world with a blank slate, and then we make a difference.
As a special education teacher, I do have the benefit because I teach life skills. So a lot of times if I have mantises in my yard, I'll bring them in. If I have a caterpillar or two, I'll bring them in. Paying attention to the things that are meaningful and that keep us as a viable species on this planet is something that's important to teach to the next generation so that they have the respect and that they can go forward and be good servants of the earth.
Just remember that we're all on this planet together.
You don't need to save the world to make an impact. You can just be present and you can be helpful and you can be willing to learn.
I do think that there is hope, and I think that it starts with one person at a time.
I've seen the bees actually come back a little bit. The public is starting to learn that they need them.
It takes only one person conserving the pollinator population to make a big difference from within the community. Coming up next.
Horseshoeing is a science, and the natives do not know that. Somehow we got left out.
How one Arizona man is teaching the next generation how to shoe horses.
I grew up in a small border town.
and water was really important to us. Without enough water, we can't farm, we can't eat, we can't live. And the way we're doing it right now, straight up doesn't have a future. I went to ASU because this is a place where you solve problems. With vertical farming, we can grow the same amount of food with 95% less water than traditional farming. The work I'm doing at ASU is changing the way I look at the world.
The scientists and engineers that support the next mission to Mars could be in this class.
Getting a degree at ASU is a journey that can take you anywhere. Into a world of groundbreaking technology and renowned award-winning faculty. Professors who help you to impact the world. Whether you're on campus or at home, becoming your best starts with learning from the best.
When I was younger, there were no engineers around me, so I had to become my own role model. At ASU, I wasn't just learning to be an engineer, I was actually engineering. And graduating, I already had real-world jobs lined up. Before ASU, my goal was to be a strong, confident woman. And when I left, I became a strong, confident engineer.
What seems like an odd job to many plays a huge role in the upkeep of horses. There are an estimated 28,000 farriers according to the American Farrier Journal. Our reporter Denzel Cortez took a trip out to the Tohono O'odham Nation to meet one man who is bringing the farrier trade to the Native American community.
In a remote area 145 miles away from Phoenix, surrounded by mountains as far as the eye can see.
This one good?
Yeah, this side. You will hear the sounds of a community taking ownership of their culture.
Try this and see if we're in the ballpark.
This is a farrier course taught at a community college on the Tohono O'odham Nation, led by one man.
George Good. I am now retired, and I'm out to teach the natives how to trim and shoe their horses' feet correctly.
Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., George Good is nonstop.
You guys want to take out another anvil? Take out one more anvil and put it right there, would you?
At 83 years old, his passion for teaching fellow Native Americans the importance of horseshoeing is still going strong.
Horseshoeing is a science, and the natives do not know that. Somehow we got left out.
This land, while stunning, can be tough on a horse's hooves and the wallet. According to Good, proper hoof care in the Southwest Native American country can cost almost $200 every 8 weeks.
It's a heck of a maintenance. It's expensive. That's why the natives need to know how to do their own livestock.
Horses have always been a part of Native American culture since the beginning. However, maintenance on their hooves is something that's not always been focused on, making people like George Good carve a new pathway to forge a new generation.
With horseshoeing, you can't teach out of a book. This is a hands-on program.
And by the way Good students work, it's all hands on hooves.
This one good?
Yeah, this side, I can see it flush.
Okay. I need to bring this one back out. I love teaching. I love the people. I can see the success. And my goal is, if I teach you, I want you to pass it on.
The instructions go beyond just horseshoeing. One of Good's students applying his life wisdom, Adrian Morgan.
How to never give up. George is kind of annoying. He will not take no for an answer. And I learned that from him. I learned to keep working towards what I want to do.
Morgan was a student of Good's in 2004 and remembers what it was like learning the farrier trade for the first time.
I was learning. It was too much information all at one time. You know, he would tell me, bring that nail off, and I didn't understand. Now this opened up a new door for me. I was like, wow, I got a new career path now, so I'm now an instructor. I would have never thought that when I first started.
They are finding out that there is love besides just liking a horse. And now they're willing to go that one step farther.
And it's the lives touched like Morgan's that keep Good's passion going, continuing to forge the next generation of Native American farriers, all with a big smile on his face.
As I always said, this is the only job you can get a kick out of.
Literally. On the Thalna Altham Nation, Denson Cortez, Cronkite News.
Now to first-generation business owner Jesse Ponce, who found his life's passion for cutting hair. And as Andres Armenta tells us, he uses his barbershop not only as a place for haircuts, but as a staple of positivity in the community.
I mean, a barbershop's one of the oldest trades and forms of businesses, but it's always a community staple. It's always, if you want to learn about your city or community, you go to the barbershop. My name is Jesse Ponce, and I'm the owner here at The Greater Good. I'm a barber, and I'm a member of the community here in Phoenix. We opened in February of 2020, literally like a month before the pandemic hit. I feel like at that point, I just had to believe that it was like mind over matter. Like as soon as I believed we were gonna lose our space, then it was gonna happen. So I kind of made the decision so that we weren't going anywhere anytime soon. My favorite part is the connection and meeting new people. And I remember when I was a youngster getting my haircut, I always thought the barbers were cool, and I always wanted to have like a conversation with them, you know? And now that I'm a barber and I get, kids as young as, infants or toddlers to teenagers to even in their 20s, to be able to like give them encouragement and advice if they need it, I always knew that it was way more about like service and embodying the values of a barber versus like just a good haircut. I look back and I think this is exactly what I envisioned when I was 12 years old, But at the same time is when you accomplish that or when you feel that, it just drives you to be even better, and to evolve that. So I think I always appreciate, what we have done, but I'm always moved and motivated to, continue progressing that. But Greater Good is a community thing, so I look to my right and to my left, and I bounce ideas off of people. And when I'm not doing so great, these people lift me up. So I'm very appreciative of that and what we've done here and where we're going.
Coming up next, a form of therapy helping seniors across the valley in retirement and memory care homes with music.
I grew up in a small border town, and water was really important to us. Without enough water, we can't farm, we can't eat, we can't live. And the way we're doing it right now, straight up doesn't have a future. I went to ASU because this is a place where you solve problems. With vertical farming, we can grow the same amount of food with 95% less water than traditional farming. The work I'm doing at ASU is changing the way I look at the world.
Innovation at the Walter Cronkite School is pushing the boundaries of traditional journalism.
Storytelling has evolved over the years. This is part of that evolution.
Students in the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Lab are using emerging technology to create scenes in augmented and virtual reality coding playable games, and bringing the audience into the story.
They're only limited by their imagination and their willingness to learn.
Find out more at cronkite.asu.edu.
People have always had trouble trying to put me into a box. A professor, suit and tie is just not me. Without the ocean, I don't know what I would do. You know, the ocean's always been there for me. As Hawaiian people, we believe that the coral is the first living being to come out of the darkness. It's the foundation of our entire lifestyle, and that's what my research is about. What we do is we take photographs of the reef over long periods of time to create models that can tell us what the planet is doing. If we go deaf to what the Earth is telling us, then we'll never be able to live in harmony. If I can get my students excited about protecting the ocean, then they're the ones who are gonna really make the difference. I hope my students realize that I'm not trying to prepare them for something in the distant future. Their time is now at Arizona State University.
2 local high school students are sharing their talents. They are providing free art and music programs to individuals living in memory care facilities and nursing homes. Our reporter Leslie Chapman tells us just how impactful programs like these can be.
At a memory care facility in Glendale, Arcadia High School seniors Ani Nagaya and Gage Samadar bring the gift of music to older adults.
Our main mission is just to rekindle the creativity of the elderly care facility homes and just kind of make them feel empowered again, as some of their talents can be shown again.
They call it Our Ode to You, a program that brings art and music to residents at nursing homes and memory care facilities. Gage Samadar says the best part of their program is watching the residents' creativity shine.
Seeing and hearing from them on a basis where they're also doing it themselves and we give them admiration as a mutual admiration for us is truly like a sort of a win-win scenario, but in the best way possible.
The pair began their nonprofit during the summer of 2023 and offer their program on the weekends. They bring art supplies and musical instruments to share with the residents. Nagaya paints with residents while Samadar sings and plays the piano. After completing their art projects, residents have the opportunity to play with some of the instruments. Music therapist Amanda Markham says this kind of connection can have huge benefits.
That ability to connect through music is such a gift, and so often our folks with dementia really struggle to have meaningful connections with others. So music can provide a great bridge for that, regardless of the program or whether it's being provided by a licensed therapist or not. It can still have a fabulous impact.
Residents at Inspira Arrowhead enjoyed the program Our Ode to You put on for them.
I loved it all. Real good.
These programs are so important for reminiscing, to invoke some memories, some good times, to spark some thoughts, conversation, socialization, and just, feeling normal.
And normal for both these seniors, old and young, is connecting through music and art.
Music can provide a connection to patients with dementia and has a big impact on their memory. We'll be right back after the break.
When I was younger, there were no engineers around me, so I had to become my own role model. At ASU, I wasn't just learning to be an engineer, I was actually engineering. And graduating, I already had real-world jobs lined up. Before ASU, my goal was to be a strong, confident woman. And when I left, I became a strong, confident engineer.
Innovation at the Walter Cronkite School is pushing the boundaries of traditional journalism.
Storytelling has evolved over the years. This is part of that evolution.
Students in the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Lab are using emerging technology to create scenes in augmented and virtual reality, coding playable games, and bringing the audience into the story.
They're only limited by their imagination and their willingness to learn.
Find out more at cronkite.asu.edu.
That's it for tonight's special edition of Cronkite News. I'm Caress Melanie. Thank you for joining us. And to see top Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.